What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update today. We've got Ashmatic with us. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, my brother. Blessed, as always, man. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. I mean, a lot to get through today. We got to talk about the managers, the sporting directors. Just before we start, Romano and Matt Law both talking today. And Romano says that Tottenham will decide on the new sporting director in the next few days. So looks like we are getting closer to that sporting director. And Matt Law says that Tottenham will decide on the manager in the next fortnight. So I'm happy that we are getting this sporting director in before the manager comes in. I guess that's a first good step.
It is a positive because, you know, like I said before, or in previous videos, I remember when we had a sporting director before and the name of Paratici came in and we had a list of managers and he literally was like, boom, threw up the list and just said, nah, I've got my guys. Do you know what I mean? So it's very important that we bring a sporting director and we get a philosophy on board straight away that marinates with what the club want.
Well, it looks like we already do have a list before the sporting director has come in. So do you think that in a couple of days' time, when the sporting director gets announced, the same thing's going to happen? The list is going to get ripped up and torn to pieces again?
But this is what I'm saying. It's anything's possible, right? You can't rule anything out. So we can't get too excited or too pinned down on managers already, even though, you know, we've got an idea and a philosophy already that we want more front-footed football, more attacking football. We said that last time. So this is Spurs, by the way. So do not get gassed. Don't get sucked in, man.
It's basically with Spurs, yeah. Whatever you hear, just expect the opposite. That's basically what we're saying. But look, let's get into it. And let's talk about the first sporting director. His name is Marco Neppe, currently at Bayern Munich. George Holzner of Kicker is saying that Tottenham are interested in Bayern Munich's technical director Marco Neppe. I mean, do you know much about him? I mean, being at Bayern Munich, he can't be a bad thing.
I don't know much about him, but I know when Nagelsmann was around, they were trying to deploy the youth. So they were trying to go around that kind of youth model segment. One guy I do like, his name's Graversback, and he's from Ajax. And he's basically was like a ball progressor, and he worked in the double pivot. And I know like their squad was aging, and this kid really excited me. But for whatever reason, Nagelsmann didn't play him, which was really weird. So I didn't really understand why they weren't on the same page, sporting directors, and then even like the people at the top, they kind of like the old guard kind of system, kind of trusted in the older players, and it wasn't marinating. A bit similar to what happened here at Spurs with, you know, Paratici, Levy, and obviously Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
But in terms of this actual sporting director, if you're at Bayern Munich, you must have the credentials, so you must have some type of level of expertise. So I'm not against it. I'm on no way am I turning my nose up against it.
But in what way do you swap Bayern Munich for Tottenham Hotspur in this day and age?
Yeah, so it goes back to that point, as I was saying, man. We just take these rumors of approaches.
100%. Look, I don't think this one's a goer, man. I just can't see someone walking out of Bayern Munich as technical director and then walking to work under Daniel Levy. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, to be honest. But in terms of the next one, Tim Steidten, we've spoken a lot about him, me and Sim, over the past couple of days. And there's a quote coming out from him, and he says, Germany and England are definitely two leagues that interest me the most. There are already offers, including from the Premier League. Honestly, there's not that many clubs in the Bundesliga that appeal to me, and that's where I am needed right now. So he's already got offers from the Premier League. Do you reckon that's from Tottenham?
I'm hoping so, man. I'm hoping it rings true. Levy and Scott Munn. So the rumours here have got some type of legs towards it. So I'm hoping that it is true. And in terms of philosophy, you know, they always employ the attacking style that we're interested in. I'm glad that we're getting put amongst sporting directors that have, you know, aesthetics that please the fans in terms of like possession-based attacking, you know. So I'm just hoping, yeah, some of these rumors do ring true, and this one seems a bit closer to home.
Well, in terms of Tim Steidten, you know, me and Sim have been speaking about him a lot regarding the players that he's brought through at Leverkusen, the players he's brought through at Werder Bremen. Is that something that does excite you?
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm actually interested in some of their players, to be honest with you. That wing back they got, Frimpong, I think he's amazing. So I think great scout. And obviously, I'm interested in Hekapi a lot. I think Hekapi could be a player that, is a left-sided centre back that could probably help with Spurs. Balance us out because we've got like a ball playing centre back, and then Hekapi's more one that can bring it out from the back, very front footed like Romero. And I think in a possession based team, I think we'll get the best out of our centre backs if we were higher up the pitch. So I think philosophy wise, yes, it can work. If that's the style that he wants to bring over, I'm very excited in what he can bring. And also the shrewd appointment of bringing in Xabi Alonso was quite good as well, because look how well they've done as well. So
yeah, but
I'm quite excited.
it was funny watching that last night because you're looking at Jose Mourinho, schooled Arne Slot, schooled Xabi Alonso, all in the space of a week. But as well with Tim Steidten, he was one that brought Florian Wirtz. He bought him as a 16-year-old kid for 200 grand, and he is now worth. He's got a market value of 85 million pounds. I mean, how mad is that?
He's a top playmaker. I've been watching him for a while now, and very good, very technical, good age as well. Exactly what we need again. But that just shows how good the actual Swan director is. Finding many talents, many players that can suit the Tottenham way.
Yeah, in terms of like all the sporting directors we have been linked with, I mean, he's the one that really like throws at me and comes out on the paper, because I think he's a level above maybe the guys who we've been linked to, and one that maybe suits the club more than anyone else. So I think he would be my number one choice. But unfortunately, I mean, I think someone like Fabrizio Romano is saying he's not even in the running. So your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. That's about right.
Let's talk about the managers now. Arne Slot is the name on everyone's lips at the moment. I've got quite a few updates. Dimarzio is saying that Arne Slot advancing Tottenham managerial position. Positive talks have already taken place with the Feyenoord boss. Sami Mokbel says Slot is also an attractive option. Romano says that Slot is being discussed eternally. Sky Sports Lyle says that Feyenoord are increasingly concerned about losing Arne Slot. And David Ornstein says it has become pretty clear in recent days that Arne Slot is a strong candidate for the Tottenham job. And when you speak to people in the game, they're now of the opinion that Slot could well get the job. So, I mean, when David Ornstein starts talking about it, you should probably sit up and listen.
Yeah, quite a few people reporting on it as well. So it's not just like one journalist. It's quite a few saying the same thing. I hope it's just not a case of an echo chamber and it's just kind of piggybacking off each other's research. But yeah, by the sounds of it, like there's quite a few reliable resources on it. So I think this one has got a bit of legs, and hopefully he sounds like he's interested. I mean, we know in the past that he left AZ to go to Feyenoord. So this will be another step up in his career, albeit a short career that he's had so far. But nonetheless, it would be very exciting appointment if we do deploy him, because he is exactly what we need in terms of. I saw the update before with you guys and the coach Stel, and just talking about that fruit. Was it the 4-2-3-1 formation? Getting back to that kind of Cam. I actually did some research on him myself, and just looking at his last game that he actually played, they won 3-0, and basically you would have thought the Cam and the strikers were the ones that were running the game, but it was actually the double pivots, and the player that we're linked with, Koku, was actually playing as a double pivot, not an actual 10, which I thought was interesting. But it's actually his partner next to him that got like man of the match, got 2 assists, and it just shows basically how flexible that team is when the double pivots are creating everything, controlling the game. If you see the heat map for both of them, literally all over the pitch, and especially Central. Central was their main area because they are the double pivots, but they were helping out their attackers, something we haven't seen from our double pivots. So I find that very, very interesting. And the amount of long balls completed, the amount of passes completed, the completion rate was minimum 88%. I know the actual double pivot, the other one, the one that got man of the match, he got like 92%. Wow. I think he completed about 8% of his long balls. So, and the average age was 23.4. Working with a real young squad, so you just know it's going to be high tempo, high pressing, very fast passing, players interchanging, One's going short, one going wide. Very fluid in formation, so it's very exciting. And I actually like in recent times the managers that do well, or the Opta saying that teams that do well typically are having a 90%. I think they said 90% is as a back four, even
Yeah.
though Serie A is an exception with back three. But yeah, 90% is a back four that are winning games and doing well in the leagues, and they all have double pivots or more. So that is the current trend, and I thought would have been attacking midfielder, but only 15% that do super well having an attacking midfielder. So we're screaming for attacking mids. It just goes to show like what's in fashion right now is teams that are a bit more fluid. So you got a double pivot that can be a 6, 8, or a 10, and that's what Schlot's looking to bring, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, it's funny because, it brings me back to my Jose Mourinho point, because you're saying like it's more in fashion to be fluid and kind of Arne Slot ball, Jabi Alonso a bit. But Jose Mourinho has gone the complete opposite way, the way he plays, and beat them both. And he's now in a European European final again.
Yeah, if you even look at Jose's XG, terrible. Like his
Sorry.
expected goals is just there, down, possession 0, like 30% possession. Like it's literally just stink it out football. Like hold on to a lead and just defend for your life and just win the game. So he's just an expert of defending. But obviously, if you're patient enough as a fan, then
Yeah.
it's gonna you'll breed your results, because if we had stuck with him, we would have had that style of football, but we would have gotten over the line with many trophies, I think.
Is Slot the number one guy on your list at the moment?
For me, yeah, only because looking back to that high performance metric, where the teams that are most successful at the moment, the actual football meta points to teams that like to press, do high press, and he does that. He does high press, and he presses with in numbers as well, and a lot of the things that that high performance teams do, or teams that are very performing well, he brings that. He brings that, and I think we've missed that for a long time. We've missed being, a possession-based team, working hard, having a lot of energy. And I know it's not going to be straight away. It's going to take time,
Yeah.
because we're going to need those type of players that are going to have to buy into that type of project. But if we can, even if we lose 10 games in a run, if the board and the fans can just be patient enough, then we might be able to see some good football. And
Yeah.
obviously some competitive football, because the competition has gone up a level, as we all know.
I got a feeling like if we do hire Arne Slot, we could be in for a very hard season next year, just as we're bedding in, getting used to his tactics. We might see a few games where we really flourish and score a lot of goals, but I imagine like if we do get Arne Slot, we could finish like 8th or 9th next year. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree, because it's very reminiscent to Bielsa, in terms of like all or nothing. Players energetic, forward thinking,
Yeah.
and then you can be exposed a lot of the time, because you may not have at the start. We might not get the centre back we need. We might not have the full backs we need, because he plays a back four. We might get exposed in those wide areas a lot of the time. Balls going over the top because we haven't got the height in certain areas to deal with those balls. We might get found out, and because he likes to play with fast playing, forward passes and a lot of accurate balls, you might not have the players that can kind of facilitate that. And if you get caught out in the Premiership, it's just another level, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I could see that. You saw what happened with Bielsa again, so that could easily happen to Slot, even though he was playing in the same league as at the same time as Man United's manager. What's his face?
Ten Hag, yeah.
Ten Hag. Yeah, Ten Hag. So
He got manager of the year over him, by the way, in the Eredivisie, which was crazy to think about.
yeah,
Crazy to think about, because everyone was talking about Ten Hag. No one was talking about Slot.
yeah, exactly that. I think it's the total football, and I think it's the style of play that's really working. Play where it's not going backwards too many times, and like I said, the interesting use of the double pivots, not just being a 6, they're becoming 8s and then becoming 10s. When you look at Ten Hag system, he plays with sometimes a 10, sometimes an 8 in Fred. And I think, was it Rashford's more of a wide forward.
Yeah.
He doesn't really play with he does play with full back system, but he plays with Anthony on the other side as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the two differ in their approach, because they're quite similar, but they've got different tweaks, especially in that double pivot role that I spoke about earlier.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the 4 other names that are on the list. Luis Enrique. Matt Law is claiming that Luis Enrique is a front runner for the Tottenham job along with Arne Slot. Sammy Mockbell says that Luis Enrique is a serious contender for the Tottenham job. So apparently, Luis Enrique is up there with Arne Slot as the front runner. Do you buy into that?
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole Nagelsmann situation that kind of threw me off Enrique, because I thought, if they don't want Nagelsmann, then like, I don't know why I thought maybe they don't want Enrique either, because that kind of went quiet for a long time. We didn't hear anything about Enrique, so it was just like, yeah, has that gone? Is that over? And then we thought for a long time that Nagelsmann was our number one candidate, a bit like how we think Slot's our number one target right now. So, what am I saying there?
They always get us, Ash. They always get us.
I know. Oh, jeez. Anyway, let me stay calm, because that's what we need to do. But yeah, going back to Enrique, who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know if it's genuine or not. Maybe someone on the board, because like, I just feel like on the board, I'm not sure if they're all singing off the same hymn sheet. That's
Definitely
why I'm
not.
thinking these names are getting thrown up all the time. I don't think the plan's as clear cut as possible. I think there's someone that's kind of pushing for a win now. Do I see Enrique as a win now? I mean, he's got the credentials of a win now because the high profile teams that he's managed, but I just don't think he is a win now. I think he's more of it has to be a long-term project, because we don't have those players that are going to facilitate the way he wants to play and the identity he has for the team. However, in that formation, he can play the 3-4-3, and I think that's where he lost the Barcelona fans, because he wanted to go a bit more direct. He didn't want to play slow and tiki-taka all the time. He felt the best route was to get into that Neymar, Messi, Suarez, get into them direct. And the midfield were aging, weren't they, in Xabi and Iniesta. So he thought, let's bypass the midfield, let's get straight into them, let's play a bit more front foot, a bit more attacking, a bit more direct with the passing. And that could be the same system he may deploy with Spurs, just slightly higher up the pitch. Obviously, he's still playing out from the back. So again, we're going to need defenders that can play out from the back, both left and right, and we can progress the ball, because that's a big part of his game. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that is true, and to see if he is a front runner. But the only thing I'd say is the age thing, because we turned down Nagelsmann. No, it was not Nagelsmann. We turned down Poch, because of his age. And I'm thinking,
apparently Poch is too old for us now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's too. How old is Enrique? Like, it's a bit ageist, isn't it? Like, they'll do.
How old is Luis Enrique? Let's do a quick search.
Is that, I'm thinking, like, if they only want youngsters, and then
he's 53.
I don't know. So what? How old is Poch?
I think Poch is
54.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
or younger. It's around 50 anyway.
Yeah, I think it's 54. Poch is 51.
Yeah, they don't know what they want. They don't
I think that's clear for everyone to see.
They don't know what they want, or they're just chatting bull. They're just bare breed, like, because you can't say, oh yeah, we were looking for a younger manager, and then Enrique's a front runner. Yeah,
it makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. But like for me, it was really interesting, because I was actually listening to like a Messi interview a few months ago, and he was talking about the best managers he's played under, and he said after Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique is the best manager he's ever worked for. And that makes me think, obviously he's a top manager, but I just can't see it working at Spurs. I just feel like Luis Enrique will come in here, make a whole lot of demands, and within 18 months to a year to 18 months, he'll be out the door. That's just the way I see it working.
I agree. The only optimism in me, the little glimmer of hope, and it's the hope that kills you guys, always remember that, is that
always
he worked with Spain and he bred quite a few youngsters in that Spanish
Yeah,
squad.
yeah, it's
So
true.
he's not shy of the youth. So in my head, I'm like, he'd still need money, but I'm saying like in terms of like recruitment long term, he would want to bring through a lot of young people that could run for him, that would buy into his ideas, and that would run through brick walls for him. Because I did hear a few players saying that they would run through brick walls for him at Spain. They would do anything for him, and he did mix some experience. It wasn't all young because he did have Laporte. I think it was Laporte that said it. Yeah, I think it was Laporte that actually said that you'd like run through a brick wall for him. I really likes him. So
I really rate him as a
yeah,
manager. I really
Enrique.
do. But, you know, we've heard
Yeah.
about other managers. Antonio Conte, a lot of people said they would run through brick walls for him. Jose Mourinho, a lot of people said they would run through brick walls for him. So, I mean, I don't know. But let's move on. Let's talk about Oliver Glasner of Eintracht Frankfurt. He is confirmed to leave at the end of the season. Sammy Mockbell says that Spurs have held talks with Oliver Glasner, current Europa League holders as well. What do you make out of Glasner?
Mixed bag, because where did he finish that season?
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't very last very long either. Tweaked a few things from the previous manager. Not much though. Asked a few questions, but I think he needs to overall improve. His front line wasn't really firing, and the back line wasn't really defending as well. Saying that, he did lose quite a few players. He lost in Silva. He lost Kostic as well to Juventus. So he lost quite a few key components to his team, which made him suffer. Kamada, I do like him a lot, but he didn't really perform as well as he did in the previous season.
Yeah.
But I think his creativity was kind of hampered a bit in that season. A bit like Son, to be fair, which is funny. But he's like an inverted winger, wasn't he? Didn't do too well last season. And ultimately, when your top players aren't playing too well, it can see the demise of the actual team, and your coach will get the overall blame for it. However, he does like that similar system that we have. He does like a 3-4-3 in possession. He can do a 3-5-2 as well, and an out position 5-4-1. So you wouldn't have to change too much right there. So
that's the first problem right there, Ash, because we need to change a lot. We need to. We can't be going for any more of these quick fixes.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like initial outlay, in terms of like steadying the ship, having to spend, with the other managers, you just know that back four, we don't have a back four. Well, we kind of do, but we don't. Do you know what I mean? There's more holes to fix straight away, but it's a patience thing. But with Glasner, I guess it's more of the same, but it's not, because he does like front-footed football. It's not. He does do high press at times. It's not always high press, but he can go a high press system. He's flexible in that, so it's not always going to be like counter-attacking football. He does appreciate counter-attacking football though, and I think that's pretty much it on him. To be fair, I haven't got much more to say on him. I think we could do better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you're looking at his time at Frankfurt in his first season, I think he might have come halfway through a season. I think he joined in 2021, so maybe it was just the beginning of last season. So we'll go from there. I mean, he finished 11th in his first season in the Bundesliga, and then he won the Europa League, so fair enough. But then this season, again, he hasn't done great in the league, only 8th. So I don't see a reason why Spurs would be taking him up, to be honest, on his previous roles. Let's talk about Ruben Amorim. Romano saying that Amorim is still appreciated by Tottenham and still on the list. Again, I like the way Amorim plays his stuff, aggressive 3-4-3 formation. Looked really good against Arsenal. They got a conveyor belt of talent coming through there at Sporting, but still doesn't seem to do too well at the league. I mean, I know he won the league, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, but this year I think they're like 4th or 5th with like some gap to the top boys.
Yeah, the drop-off's mad. I don't know if it's being found out, his tactics are being found out slightly in that league, or if the I can't put my finger on it, because against Arsenal, when I did watch it, they were like pretty much spot on, nailed on when it was coming to tactics. And he likes to do a man-to-man press, and he has the youngsters for it. They've got a lot of youth. He was getting the best out of them at his time there. He came in and they hadn't won cups and titles for ages, and he just came along and just went back to back trophies. So
Yeah.
he has got that kind of pedigree about him. So I do understand why lots of not just the board but fans as well are really interested in him. And again, 3-4-3, but we play higher up the pitch, and that's a common theme. I think like where we sat back a lot this season. I think it's the same formation, but if you just let the team move a little bit up the pitch, all of a sudden you're closer to the goal, you're creating more chances, and he's very aggressive in his press, and that's something that again we like. It's whether you've got the players for it, or obviously you've got Kane now is aging, so can he press the same way as he did at the start? Poch's career, maybe not, but nonetheless, you still got players around him that can press. So if he starts it off, it's not going to be too bad. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's pressing all the way from the halfway line.
He
He's
could
going
be
be pressing at
converted
the
to a
top.
number 10 though, Ash.
That as well. So there's many options. So for me, I'm not mad at it. Amorim's good, and again, I said it's got that we deploy a 3-4-3, and that suits our wing backs. Wing backs are our biggest thing at the moment because we've got both Porro and Idoji to consider. So we need someone that's gonna at least play one of them in their system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just think it's just something to look at. To be fair, I mean, we don't want to throw away a big portion of our transfer budget, which has been a problem. Like every time we bring a manager in, we've got to kind of buy again, and we're wasting money here and there. So it does make sense with Amorim. Yeah.
And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou, currently the manager of Celtic. Romano says that Postecoglou is also one of the candidates for the job. I mean, he's done a really good job at Celtic. He's brought through, players that nobody had really heard of from the Japanese league, and he's got a real big tune out of them. Do you like the work he's doing over at Celtic? I mean, it's always going to be a caveat, though, only managing in the Scottish league and not out in Australia and Japan.
Yeah, but it just shows that he's able to. His knowledge of football for me, because that's not like he just came from like Championship and then went to Celtic and then, a bit like the Gerrard story. He's been out in different countries, different worlds, experienced different type of cultures and still been able to motivate them no matter where he is. I think that's the slight difference. And by the look of him, by the look of his character and his presence, the presence of the man, he looks like he might have that slight need or that sort of prick that like you need to get out of the players, that he doesn't have it, and he just instantly gains respect. That's what you kind of need from your top man, from your manager, from your coach. Someone that's just going to pull players in and say, "Look, this is how we're doing it." And if
something that Mason seems to be missing.
Yeah, exactly that. So even with I've heard some people want Potter or even Brendan. I just feel like those guys, that they're a bit nice for me, and I just want a manager that can have the best of both. Psychologically good man to man, tactically up to date, modern as well, modern with their tactics, because I think that's what you get with him, with the inverted fullback situation. Helping out the midfield. You're getting high press as well. Again, you're getting front-footed football, attacking football, possession-based football, and he does a few things that are slightly different. Likes to play with triangles. It's really, really popular. Having players outnumber certain oppositions in certain areas to create an advantage for your team. I think that's very important in attacking philosophy. And I think he brings that. But the presence of the coach, for me, he looks like he means business. Do you know what I mean? Whether that would work right away, is obviously debatable. But that's a big thing for me. I like a coach to be someone that commands respect and gets it right away. And I think he's got that kind of look about him and has experience as well in other leagues. You look at Arsene Wenger, unknown entity, was in the J League again. And came along and he created his style of football, which still is in the Hall of Fame, I think, in terms of management, in terms of changing the way the Premier League was played at the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely spot on. And I think that when you're talking about that manager that has that presence, I mean, on this list that we've got, Arne Slot, Luis Enrique, Glasner, Amorim, Postecoglou, I would say they probably all have that presence apart from Glasner.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
And
going forward, we've got the players committee, haven't we? And so
I don't get that players committee thing, by the way. I think it's a load of bullshit, to be honest.
The players committee is down to the fact that we've changed coaches so many times, and these players have outlasted some of these coaches. So that's down to the board firing managers too quickly. That's the strategy to fire managers or lose managers. Whether you fire them or you lose your manager has been a reason why there's been a committee, and that's the reason why there's that type of culture where the players are kind of running the actual club as opposed to a coach, you know, getting their philosophy and ideas across. And when you've got player power, that breeds politics. So when you've got younger players or academy players trying to get through that might think they need to start ahead of these players, they're not getting a lock-in. Regardless of if they're better than the current players we have there, they're not getting a lock-in. Or even not just the younger players or academy players, even down to players on the bench. They're not getting a lock-in because ultimately they have a say in who gets picked. They're getting played all the times. And that's the reason why we're probably not seeing our 11 change so much as well, because I think they've got so much to say on it.
Whoever this new manager that does come in, I really hope they do get rid of this leadership group, because I think it's a massive problem at Spurs and there's just no need for it. And I get what you're saying because of the chopping and changing in managers, but this leadership group, I mean, they're probably the first ones to go to Levy and be like, we don't want this manager, we don't want that manager. The manager should have full power over everything, not these players. But in terms of these names, Arne Slot, Luis Enrique, Oliver Glasner, Ruben Amorim, Ange Postecoglou, who are your top two?
I would say Slot, and then Poster, not too far behind. Only because of the experience that he has. Quite a tough one between him and Amorim, actually. Amorim's quite a good one, but I'm going to stay with Poster. I just like the look of the guy. Yeah.
Optics. But no, Ash, Thank you. Thanks for coming on today. That is our update on the manager search and the sporting director search. Another update on the way regarding a few potential players. But like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.